you're someone that is looking to move to Charleston, or you're thinking about moving to Charleston, but you have absolutely no idea where to even start looking or what areas to look into, not to worry. Today's video, we're gonna do a bird's eye view over all of the different areas of Charleston. So if you are considering a move to the low country, you'll be able to pick which area you resonate with the most. What's up guys, it's Michaela and I'm a realtor here in Charleston, South Carolina. As a Charleston native, I feel like I know these areas through and through as I have been exploring them for my entire life. And I really wanted to share with you what each area is like and the vibe that they offer, because I understand that whenever you're moving to a new city, especially if you haven't been to Charleston before and you're just doing some research, I really want to give you some good insight that actually helps you in the decision of your move and where you want to live, because it can be very overwhelming and very stressful. So anything helps into making that whole process and transition as smoothly as possible. If you or anyone that you know has questions about Charleston or real estate in general, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And if you do enjoy videos, all things Charleston and all things real estate, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and jump into my computer screen here and we're gonna see exactly what Charleston has to offer. So here we're gonna start as an overview of the low country as a whole. So this is an overview of Charleston and all of the surrounding areas. So this here is the heart of Charleston, and this is downtown, also referred to as the peninsula, which it's a peninsula because on one side of it is the Cooper River here, and then on the other side is the Ashley River. And then going to the east of downtown is Mount Pleasant. And then right above downtown is North Charleston. And then going south of North Charleston is West Ashley. And then right next to West Ashley are James Island and Johns Island. And there are two main highways that we use to get to each area. So this here is 526 that starts here in West Ashley, and then it goes all the way into Mount Pleasant. So this one highway here goes all the way through North Charleston into Mount Pleasant and vice versa into West Ashley. And then we also have I-26, and that is an interstate. So we're gonna start in the heart of Charleston and we're gonna go downtown first. So the very tip of the peninsula here is White Point Gardens, and this is a really beautiful park, so you can have picnics here. There's a big gazebo in the middle of it, and a lot of people get married there, but there is a lot of Civil War history there, lots of pirate history, and it just has quite the story to it. So if you see this Murray Boulevard here, this actually is all waterfront. So you can go running here, you can go for a stroll, and it goes all the way around and leads into East Bay Street. But it's a really beautiful area. It's a great place for sunsets, and it does overlook the Ashley River into the harbor. And then you can also see Fort Sumter from there, which is really cool because that's where the first shots of the Civil War were fired. And then if we go up this East Bay Street, that's where Rainbow Row is. And this is where you see all of the Instagram pictures taken, and it's just really beautiful pastel homes. They're basically the symbol of Charleston aside from the pineapple. They're worth multi-millions, but they're absolutely stunning and are the epitome of the low country home. And if we go a little past Rainbow Road, this is actually where the infamous pineapple fountain is. So this is a really pretty waterfront park. This is the waterfront park pier here. It's just a really peaceful area. They have swings where you can just sit and just feel the breeze and just gaze out into the water. But you have a lot of hotels and restaurants in this area too. And then if we head up East Bay Street, we're gonna go up into Market Street. So we have North Market Street and then we have South Market Street. So these are each one way. So this one goes, North Market goes this way, South Market goes this way. There's a bunch of restaurants and shops along this street here. But I mean, it's really cool because a lot of local vendors and artisans will go here and set up booths, and you can see some really cool things you don't normally see. So it's a lot of fun to check out. The market is located in these buildings all through the middle of these two streets. And then if we go down Market Street, we are going to hit King Street. King Street is absolutely notorious for all of the shopping, all of the restaurants. It's just a really poppin' place. Every second Sunday of the month, they block off portions of King Street to where traffic can't cross. They just have people bring out tables at restaurants where you can sit outside on the sidewalks and in the street. People bring their dogs. There's food trucks that come, and people just set up different booths so you can explore the shops and different vendors, and it's just a really fun event that they hold once a month. And also on King Street is Mary Marion Square. So this is where the farmers market is held on Saturdays. This is where a lot of community events happen as well. So it's a really pivotal part of downtown. And if we go a block over to St. Philip Street, this whole area is the College of Charleston campus, which it was actually voted one of the most beautiful campuses in the nation, which is pretty cool. It's a very historic campus, but it is really, really pretty. And they are the Cougars, so go Cougars. We're gonna zoom out just a little bit and we're gonna go by Calhoun Street. And once we take Calhoun, we can get to the medical district, which is one of Charleston's biggest employers, is our medical district downtown, which is MUSC. They bring in a lot of residents and doctors from all over the country to study and do clinical trials. You also do have Roper Hospital down here as well. They're a private hospital, so they're not like a school versus MUSC. If you see how our grid system is set up, it's not perpendicular, it's not straight lines. So everything is at an angle on our peninsula, so we always just kind of refer to it as blocks, or we'll just say like it's next to the street, or it's harder to give directions around here just because of that. Everything is just at an angle, but once you live here for a little bit, you just get used to it. So we're gonna go a little further past the medical district. So there is a marina right here, and then there's also a restaurant here that you can eat at that is absolutely delicious with fresh seafood. And if we go a little past that, we're gonna hit Brittle Bank Park. So they do hold some events here at Brittle Bank Park. It's also a really pretty place to catch the sunset. And then right next to Brittle Bank Park is actually our River Dogs Stadium. So we have a very good baseball team here, and a lot of people love to go to the River Dogs games. They're a lot of fun. So a little past the stadium is the Citadel. And this is our military magnet school here. So it's really cool. It looks kind of like a castle. Their mascot is the bulldog, and they're actually working on expanding that building. But right next to the Citadel is actually Hampton Park, and around Hampton Park is Wagner Terrace, and then also the neighborhood Hampton Park. This is a 1 mile trail here, and there's a lot of history here as well, but a lot of people do go running here. There's yoga classes held here, different community events, and it's just a really pretty park to go and just relax in, or go for a stroll, or take the family. There is also a really pretty gazebo there as well. So that's pretty much the overview of downtown. I will have more of an in-depth video on each of these areas, but I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of each one. So we're actually going to head to the east of downtown, and that is Mount Pleasant. Another major highway that we have is Highway 17. So that is exactly how we're going to head into Mount Pleasant from downtown. Crossing the Cooper River here is the Arthur Ravenel Bridge, which connects you to Mount Pleasant, which is one of the infamous bridges that you see. If you see anything about Charleston, you'll probably see the Ravenel Bridge. So as you go into Mount Pleasant, right under the bridge is Waterfront Park. So here they have some green space. They have a playground. There's also a pavilion here so you can hold events. And then you can also walk out onto the water, so you'll pass their little gift shop so you can grab an ice cream or a little snack or a souvenir, and then head out onto the Mount Pleasant Pier, and it goes under the Ravenel Bridge, and it's just a really pretty place to catch the sunset or just go for a walk. A lot of people love to run the Ravenel Bridge too, so we'll have the Cooper River Bridge Run once a year, and people sign up, they close down the bridge, and it starts in Mount Pleasant and it goes all the way into downtown. I believe it's a 5K. So it's a really great event that we have every year on this iconic bridge. And then right next to the park is Patriots Point. So this is where the USS Yorktown is located, and also the Charleston Harbor Resort and Marina. There's also a really pretty golf course here as well. So if you love golfing, you will definitely love this golf course. So getting back onto the main road here. So as we come from the bridge, we're gonna go into Coleman Boulevard. So Coleman Boulevard leads you over Shem Creek. Shem Creek is a really cool area. So there's a bunch of waterfront restaurants, and you can also rent kayaks here. You can rent paddle boards. It's just a really fun low country spot to go to. Lots of beautiful sunsets here. This is also a notorious spot to see dolphins. So people will literally come up Shem Creek, which is where all these restaurants are, and they'll dock their boat and they'll just go have a drink, enjoy a table on the water, and get some good food. And it's just a really fun area to go to, and you can actually walk over the overpass here and look out onto the water. And if we keep going down Coleman Boulevard, we're gonna end up in the Old Village. So this is an older part of Mount Pleasant, but the homes are absolutely beautiful. A lot of them are being updated and renovated, and they are just absolutely stunning. It's a really great community. And if you watched Outer Banks, this is where they filmed their, I think it was in season 1, where John B was running from the sheriff, and there was like the sheriff's office and everything. That's over here. Let me see. So that's over here down this street here where the post house is. And it's just a very small town, historic. It's just a very quaint area of Charleston with, like I said, some more mature homes, but they're also renovating them and flipping them. And there are parks throughout the old village, but the main one in the old village is Pitt Street. So Pitt Street is a park, and as you get into the park, there is a kayak launch here, and there's a little parking lot right here. It essentially starts out as a sidewalk with a little bit of green space and some benches where you can just kind of just overlook the water, but it turns into a bridge with little piers in it where you can go fishing. And it used to be a bridge that got destroyed during a hurricane a long time ago, but they turned it into a park. It overlooks Sullivan's Island, and also you can see the skyline of downtown and the bridge. So it's a really pivotal area where you can see so much of Charleston, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So if you have a chance to go there, I highly recommend it. So once we get back onto Coleman and we just keep going straight, we're going to turn into Ben Sawyer Boulevard. So going all the way down this road, it's going to lead us to the Ben Sawyer Bridge, which is going to lead us into Sullivan's Island. Sullivan's Island reminds me of like a small sleepy beach town. It is so quaint, it's cozy, it's very residential compared to other beaches. So this is the main street of Sullivan's Island, and this is called Middle Street. So here is where all of the restaurants and the shops are, and they're all local, which is so cool. There's Poe's Tavern, which has like burgers and fries and just a bunch of creative menu items. And there's Mex One, which is a surfy Mexican coastal cantina. And then you have some property management companies, you have an ice cream shop. There's also a park here, so you can play basketball here, you can play tennis. There's a playground, there's some swings, and right next to that is the city hall, and then they are redoing the fire department. But this one little main area of Sullivan's Island is the central hub. So if you take Middle Street and you keep going all the way down towards the end of the island, first of all, there's a castle here. Not even kidding. It's very, very cool looking. I will insert a picture of it here. You can kind of see it. Really interesting. It's cool to see in person. And then we're gonna keep going past that, and this is where you'll run into Fort Moultrie. So Fort Moultrie is very, very old. It's been destroyed through the course of its lifetime, but there's so much history here. And right across the street from the fort is where you can go and see the little museum that they have, and also pay to go into explore Fort Moultrie, which is a lot of fun. There's a bunch of different batteries throughout Sullivan's Island because it was used so much during the Civil War. This is just how they were keeping an eye out for the enemies over the Charleston Harbor. So you'll see a lot of those. They look kind of creepy, but they're super cool. And there's a bunch of history on this island itself. So there's different plaques that show you exactly what happened where. But the beach itself you can get to from Fort Moultrie, and it's just a really beautiful beach. It's honestly my absolute favorite beach. There's the Sullivan's Island Lighthouse, which was actually the very last lighthouse that was built by the federal government. So if we go to the opposite end of Sullivan's Island, we're gonna run into Breach Inlet. So Breach Inlet used to not have a bridge there. It is called the Hunley Bridge because this is where the Hunley departed into the Charleston Harbor, and there's a little beach park here. You're really not allowed to swim in it just because of the rip currents, but it's still really cool just to go see. And there's a bunch of historic signs here as well. It's called Thompson Park. But if we cross the Hunley Bridge, we're gonna head into Isle of Palms, and on the opposite end of where you can get on the beach at Sullivan's Island, you can also have beach access from Breach Inlet on Isle of Palms, so you can kind of just face each other from the opposite ways of the creek. So Isle of Palms was originally called the Long Island. It's a 25,000-year-old beach, but it is so beautiful. It's a mix of a resort and a residential area. There's a lot more rentals on Isle of Palms than Sullivan's Island. And if you go on this road 517 here, so this connects you back into Mount Pleasant. So you can get into Isle of Palms one of two ways. You can go through the Isle of Palms connector, which is 517 here, or you can go through the Hunley Bridge, which is through Sullivan's Island. So this is the connector right here. This is called the Isle of Palms connector, and it goes all the way into Mount Pleasant, and this is what divides Mount Pleasant from North Mount Pleasant and South Mount Pleasant. So if you're below the connector, you're South Mount Pleasant, which is the Old Village and Patriots Point, And then we're gonna get into North Mount Pleasant in just a second. There is Wild Dunes, and this is just a gated resort community. It's great for weddings or for just a vacation. And there also is a big golf course there, and there's beach access there as well. Now we're gonna go over the connector, and you'll pass a Target, and you'll also pass Town Center, which is right here, and there's a lot of restaurants and shops here as well. There's a Barnes & Noble, there's a bunch of local boutiques, there's local restaurants, and it's just a really fun place to go to. And then we're gonna go back to that Highway 17 that runs through Mount Pleasant, and we're gonna go to Long Point Road. So here's the connector, and then Long Point Road is if you take a right on 17, and it'll be on our left, and this is where Boone Hall Plantation is located, which is where Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively got married. So Boone Hall is very historic, and there's a lot of events that go on in this plantation throughout the year. So this is where the pumpkin patch is. This is where they have our Fright Nights around Halloween. They have the Strawberry Festival. They have a wine festival. There's always something happening here, but it is absolutely stunning, and I highly suggest visiting if you're able to. And as you go down Long Point Road, you're gonna come to a roundabout, and this is where you'll follow the road and go all the way to Palmetto Islands County Park. So this is actually also where they filmed some of Outer Banks. It's like $2 a person, but it is so fun. There's a lot of trails, there's waterfront scenery, there's a playground, there's a water park. There's definitely lots to do here. There's a lot of open space, so if you want to go play soccer, football, baseball, whatever you want. There's volleyball nets. There's definitely, if you're an outdoor person, you will love going to this park. You can also rent paddle boats, you can rent bikes. And then we're gonna go north of Mount Pleasant. So like I said, this here is the connector. So everything up this way is North Mount Pleasant, and this is all South Mount Pleasant. So North Mount Pleasant is more residential, I would say. There are some shopping centers here, but it's mostly communities. So there is Carolina Park, which is built by Lennar. It's a really beautiful community. And right next to Carolina Park is Park West. And in Park West, there is Laurel Hill County Park. So this one is a little bit smaller of a park, but it's still really fun to go to. And you can definitely take different trails, and each trail is color coded, so they're all different distances, and you can pick which one you want to take that day. And then this is 41, so this is where Dunes West and Rivertown are. So Dunes West is a gated community that is known for its golf course. And then you also have Rivertown, which is directly across from Dunes West, and that is a riverfront community that also has a golf course. I actually have a whole video on Rivertown if that's something you want to see. I'll link it up above. So we're going to zoom out from Mount Pleasant, and if we take either 526 or we could take 41 to Clemens Ferry Road, we will end up in Daniel Island. So Daniel Island is a very tight-knit small town community, and it is one of my absolute favorite areas of Charleston. I also have a video on Daniel Island. I will link it above if you want to learn more about them, but they have the Credit One Stadium that they just renovated. We've had a lot of big names come here. So we've had Elton John, the Lumineers, and Daniel Island has just built their waterfront park, and there's a bunch of restaurants here. They're building new condos and townhomes, and this is also where you can take a ferry to and from downtown. And we have the King's Tide, which is a seafood restaurant, and the Dime, which is just a little cafe. It's just a really stunning area, and you can walk this trail, and it goes all the way from the neighborhoods to the main parts of Daniel Island. And they also have a golf course on this side of Daniel Island, which also has a lot of custom homes there. So they're really, really pretty. They're in the multi-millions. They start from about 2 million, but they are absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna take 526 and we're gonna head to North Charleston. So North Charleston is where you would go to the airport. As you can see right here, it's a pretty big airport. And then we also have the Joint Base Charleston next to it, which is one of our biggest employers in the Lowcountry. And then right down from the airport, literally minutes away, is Tanger Outlets. So there's lots of shopping here, lots of restaurants, and lots of stuff to do. They actually just opened up a Topgolf here. So if you like Topgolf, that is right next to the airport. And if we go from Tanger, we're gonna head to Park Circle. So Park Circle is anchored by this one major roundabout in the community that is a park itself. Park Circle has a mix of mature, renovated, and flipped homes and some new construction, and there's a lot of local restaurants here, and it's just a really pretty area. And it's right next to Riverfront Park, which is right here. And there's also a lot of events at this park. It overlooks the Cooper River, so it's absolutely stunning. Also, right next to Tanger, I forgot to mention, is the Coliseum. So this Coliseum is bigger than the Credit One Stadium, so a lot of more bigger shows will come here. Like I said, they renovated the Credit One Stadium, so it has expanded, but it's just not as big as the Coliseum. This is where we get Disney on Ice, we get a lot of comedians, we get singers, we get bands. There's always, like I said, something going on here. And then also located in North Charleston is Boeing. We actually do have a Boeing plant here, which also brings in a lot of workers, which is really great for our economy. So now we're gonna go down 526 and we're gonna head into West Ashley. So this is actually where I grew up. It has definitely grown a lot. So West Ashley is also divided into two different parts. So there is inside 526 and there's outside 526. Inside of 526, it's more mature homes that are also being updated. And then outside of 526 are a lot of new construction homes, or at least they've been built within the last 5 to 10 years. So here in West Ashley, inside of 526, we have Charlestown Landing. This is where the settlers first came over and established themselves. You can learn a lot of history about Charleston here. You can actually explore one of the boats that they came over of. It's a replica, but it's still pretty accurate to what they came over and had to survive on. There's a zoo there, so a lot of our native animals here are actually at the zoo, so you can go and see them and learn more about them. There's a lot of exhibits there at the museum, and it's just a really fun place to go to and a really good way to connect with the city and just where it all came from. This road here is Highway 61, and this is where all of our plantations are located, and this goes all the way into Summerville and can go into downtown. This is where Magnolia Plantation, Middleton Plantation, and Drayton Hall are all located. And then also you do have Highway 17 in West Ashley as well, and it goes into Savannah if you were to follow it all the way, but it does connect into downtown and then leads into Mount Pleasant, which you can see here. It goes all the way into Myrtle Beach. It's a pretty long highway. It's not an interstate or an intrastate, it's just a highway, but it's still really useful to get from those different places. Sometimes it's more preferred than 526 or I-26. In West Ashley, there is Main Road here, and this is gonna head into Johns Island. So in Johns Island, you have Main Road, which is right here, and that's gonna go all the way into Bohicket Road after you reach this intersection. And Bohicket Road is gonna take you all the way to Kiawah and Seabrook Island, which are right here. So if we come in on Main Road here, we can also take a left onto River Road, and River Road is going to lead us into Maybank Highway. So Maybank Highway is the main highway in Johns Island, and it goes into James Island, pretty much in the middle of Johns Island. This is also where the Angel Oak is located. It's so magical to see a tree so big and so old. I think it's like 400 or 500 years old, but if you have the opportunity to go see it, definitely do. And then if you go all the way through Johns Island, you'll reach Kiawah and you'll reach Seabrook. They're actually at a roundabout, so they're very, very close to each other. So you just can go right for Seabrook or left for Kiawah, which Seabrook is actually private, so you have to be either a resident, a guest of a resident, a club member, or the guest of a club member to get in. And located right outside of Kiawah and Seabrook is Freshfields. So this is a really cute shopping area that you can visit if you head out to either Kiawah or Seabrook. And lastly, we're gonna head into James Island. So we're gonna take Maybank Highway from Johns Island into James Island. So you can see here, this is where the islands connect by Maybank Highway with the Stono Bridge. Right over that bridge into James Island is Riverland Terrace, and there's also a lot of history here. There's a good combination of different types of houses that are here, and it's a really cool community. And James Island has a lot of local restaurants and shops, but obviously a lot of people go here because of Folly Beach. So Folly Beach, you do have the pier, which they just finished redoing, and the pier is directly as you come into Folly Beach. And then there's also a lot of restaurants and shops once you come into the island. And then if you go all the way to the very end of Folly Beach, this is where their county park is, so this is all the public beach access. And at the very opposite end of Folly Beach is actually the Morris Island Lighthouse. So those are the main areas of Charleston. I did want to include Summerville, which is about 30 minutes or so away from Charleston, and this is essentially a suburb of Charleston. It's a little on the outskirts, but this is where actually Nexton is being built, which I'll put some pictures of Nexton. This is where Rock the Block was filmed. It's a really beautiful community that is just growing. There's also Ashley River Park, which is one of the newest additions to Summerville. So we also have Main Street in Summerville. So this is their downtown essentially. And there's a strip of local restaurants and shops there. And also this is where the Flower Town Festival is held once a year. They have a bunch of azaleas and flowers that bloom in the summertime. It's really pretty and it smells amazing. And Summerville is actually referred to as the front porch of the South. So it's a really great area to move to, where if you're wanting to be close to Charleston, or maybe it's a little bit more budget friendly for you, Summerville is definitely worth looking into. All right, you guys, so I really hope that helped you out. I know that was a lot of information, but also kind of a quick overview. I hope that this helped you out and gave you a better idea of the vibe of each area and what it has to offer. But if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.